content pieces are billboards. Now, this is an interesting concept because when you start to look into it, it's really YouTube is like SEO. I mean, that's what it's built on. And so it's interesting to look at the history and apply it to now and why certain pieces, when you post it, don't always perform well. And that's actually a good thing. Now, I don't know who I got this from. It could have been Alex Samosi, another creator. I don't know if I just conjured it up from the universe and just laid it to my client, and now we start to use that every day in our language. Not really sure. But before we get into that, let me first introduce myself. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brendan Fuller. I'm a marketing lead at an agency that's working with a couple clients. And so I kind of just do the marketing. I've been doing it for 3 years. And so this has all come from my experience. My goal is to really distill down my information, everything I've learned in this brain here, and condense it into a video that's hopefully helpful. So let's get into it. Main piece today is content pieces are billboards. Now, try to do 2 videos, and this is the topic for today. And one of the main things I kind of wrote down under that is really a question. And the question was, how many, if I could read it, how many of you have seen a video pop up in your feed or you watched it and you realized that it was like maybe a couple years ago or even 5 or 10 years ago and got recommended? You're like, holy cow, why is this getting recommended to me now? Might be more entertainment based, might be a tutorial, whatever it may be. It got recommended it and you clicked on it or you just saw it in your feed. Most likely, if you use YouTube, then 100%, right? Most likely, you've seen this many times before. Maybe if you're not really or conscious about it, your subconscious has picked it up, just scanning wise. So, on that note, even then, let me just ask you, how many of the videos you think are, if you could split it, right? If you could split this, how many videos do you think you watch are new and novel, be it, let's just say, posted within the last 7 days? And how many, if we separate this, are 7 days or older? Now, this might be, you might make an argument, okay, let's make this 30 days. We can make it within the past year. We can say a year and older than a year. It'd be interesting split. I don't have the number on me on what the content I watch, but I can say that it does depend on the intent. And so if you even look up, let's just say, music videos, a lot of these videos are probably from 2010, 2015, 2000s, maybe even older than that, especially if you obviously listen to like rock stuff and etc. There, obviously some new stuff get released, but honestly, people watching that on Spotify, they may watch the music video. But regardless, point being is that it would be interesting stat to see what the split is. And the reason I bring this up is because people get really discouraged. Creators get a lot really discouraged. I know I've been in this many times where we try to really hyper focus on what are the views within this hour that I just posted. Okay, what is the views within the last 2 hours, maybe the last 10 hours, 24 hours, 7 days, maybe. And you'll see the 10 out of 10, just down arrow. Horrible stats are all kind of just underground or like all the way to the bottom of the floor, through the floor. Matter of fact, might as well just hit unlisted and say, yeah, this was an absolute flop. But it's been interesting, especially with shorts, but even just longer form pieces where you'll post it and it might be the worst in terms of performance, at least within the 24 hours, but then give it 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, it actually be one of your most best performing videos out there. And this is something that I don't have stats I pulled up before, but I know vidIQ. If you don't know what vidIQ is, they are a company that's, I would say, the number one leading kind of YouTube, I guess, information, um, I guess, software tool out there to help creators get better. And they did a stat on creators who are under 10K or even, I think it was 5K, and how often they posted and generally views and the amount of views they get for outliers over time. And they found usually it took a month or 2 months or even 3 months where they start to pick up faster, they start to pick up more exponential compared to obviously bigger channels. And the case I can argue for this, because I've been in this for 3 years, I'm amassed over millions of views. I think, well, I don't think, I know I've scaled a YouTube video or channel from 0 to 50K, and that's within a niche that's hyper specific on not really entertainment, but more information. So that's actually generally good if you're targeting the right people. And so this is coming from my experience that um, specifically, a lot of times when you might serve a clip like that, it's just because the YouTube just doesn't know who to serve it to. They may not know exactly the right audience at that time. And so you could have all like crazy good stats. Like I remember one video I had over, I think it was 120% retention rate. That was on a short. That's actually really good. I had a swipe rate of about like 95 to 5, which if you don't know, that's really insane. You want an 80 to 20 about for swipe rate to people just staying. 80% of people are staying and 20% of people are swiping. That's your base of what you want to aim for. And so on that end, that I had a video that did that and only got like 500 views. And then if I look now, I think it's been 600 like 30 days and it's still racking up views. It's hit over 100K or so and still actually like 200 or so, and it's still climbing in views. It's one of the most performing I see every week in just our analytics. And it's interesting to see that. And so the point I'm trying to make is it really depends on what your pieces are, first of all, but also you shouldn't be hyper focused on that piece if you generally think it's good and it's hitting the right metrics. And what I mean by right metrics is it hidden, is the retention graph good? Is it decent enough? Is it good? Is the title and thumbnail, do you think is really representative of what it's doing? Does it feel like it's doing this purpose? And sometimes you just gotta let it sit. And sometimes people might hyper focus like, oh, this is not working. I gotta fix this. And not necessarily so. Sometimes patience is the best thing. And it goes to my first point where I was just saying here as well, is it depends on what the intent is. Tutorials, they are amazing because YouTube is SEO. YouTube was SEO and still is SEO, hooked into Google, where a lot of the tutorials that you'll probably watch are maybe 5 years old, 3 years old. I remember when I was searching up how to fix my car in terms of just, I have a Dodge Charger 2014, and I had some mice kind of get in the headliner, just the top of your car inside. And so I searched up how to remove it. Man, I looked at a couple of videos, and man, I tell you, some of them are like 6 years old. Obviously, it's a 2014, so they're gonna be a lot older than obviously new videos coming out for 2025 or whatever Dodge Chargers. And so, in that perspective, tutorials you can expect to be older. But the crazy thing is, I have just as much value as someone who watched it then as I am watching it now. And so the idea of content pieces, your YouTube pieces, are like billboards, is that you may not be building it right now. Right now, you might be put in a place that you know doesn't have a lot of traffic. There's a saying I've heard because I'm in Michigan a lot, where people say Michigan is the place to be in 10 to 15 years. Now, I've heard this. People have been apparently saying this for 10 to 15 years already. So it's like, well, I mean, even heard people say, well, it's a place to be in 50 years. And the idea, the notion behind it is the traffic may not be here now, but it is in the future. So are you placing yourself, for SEO terms, are you placing yourself in a place that may not be right now, but may be the future? Great example of this is AI. If you were talking about AI maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and you were making content of like everything you should know about AI, um, or like the masterclass in AI, or whatever it may be, or in this, where you are making pieces on this and setting yourself up for the future of traffic, then you're going to be golden because you're going to have the real estate already there before it gets super crowded, before people realize, oh, this is picking up now. Let me get in on this. You already have the authority established, the foot ground, the the foundation already there, where Google had its time to figure out its audience. Then now it's going to start pushing you further, pushing you more up. Now there are going to be competitors that are going to take on what you have done that's worked, and Even you should take on what you have worked and learned and done well and improve it, of course. But the point of being is that there might not be a lot of traffic flowing through to see your billboard. And I really quite literally mean billboards as like in real life when you're driving. There might not be tons of traffic right now, but let's just say this population grows. Like let's just say you go from like a city of nothing to a city of like Los Angeles within 50 years. Obviously, we're not in a 50 years time frame, but consider condense that down to a year or two. Imagine the amount of people that go see that billboard, see this billboard, if let's just say they live now in Los Angeles and that billboard is now there, and because you got it in cheap, now you're just raking in the amount of people that are seeing your billboard and now are calling you or going to your place and all that. Now I probably could have articulated this a little bit better, but hopefully the idea stands, that the fact that it's not always about the short term. It's more, especially in info. I'm talking about specifically through the lens of info, and you're selling info and information. It's about the long term. And that's why a lot of people, a lot of creators might create pieces with frameworks such as, if I was like, we're selling, let's say I was selling how to do basketball. I would say everything you need to know about basketball in 2026. Now, obviously, that's kind of vague. Maybe I want to be more hyper specific. Maybe how to shoot in 2026, how to shoot a basketball in 2026. Now, obviously, nothing has really changed in 2026, so it's not really that information that really valuable. Maybe that might more stand as seeing this with like something like meta ads, how to run meta ads in 2026. Now that I want to know because the algorithm is changing consistently. I want to know the latest news on it so I can be up to date on it. That would make more sense. And so when you are making these pieces, have in mind what your intent is, and are you going more SEO based? If that's the case, then you are setting yourself up for the long term. You're not focused on the short term, the long term. Because I've seen videos that heck even haven't performed crazily good. They got like 3,000 views, but I've seen over like 300 clicks to our site doing this, which relatively is a good ratio. 300 clicks from 3,000 views. I mean, I got a video on Rumble. If you don't know Rumble, it's like YouTube, but like the less censored version, like the free. It's kind of like X, whereas that was like the place to go where you can have like more of that free speech and it's not really as kind of like censored. Same thing with Rumble. So Rumble, I had a video that was crypto related that did over about 400 views, and you would not believe how much people actually went to the description and clicked through to our site. Now, I don't know if this is bots or this is really, I mean, I looked at engagement rates because this is through Google Analytics, but from the 400 views, 300 people clicked onto our site. That is the definition of high intent people, high intent users, high intent audience, customers, whatever you want to call them, visitors. That's what it is. And so that's a whole nother separate story on that of what I'm kind of making. But the idea overall is that if you are talking about a topic and you're doing, let's just say, something that's may not be relevant now, but you know it's going to be in the future, you are planting a billboard. You are planting a billboard. And if you are playing the SEO game, expect over time to build those views with a piece and don't expect it in the short term. So that would be my advice on that. If you find this video helpful, then let me know. And if you have anything to add to this conversation, I would love to hear it. This is my second video for today, and so I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. And let me know if there's anything you'd like me to add or change with these videos. I'm always up for improvements. Yeah, and these are just my kind of daily, I say like my daily mindsets or just what I'm thinking. Hopefully it's helpful to you. So I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.